All right, let's dive into something that could honestly transform your conversations. It's a simple, powerful rule that's all about a little bit of math and a whole lot of psychology, and it can make people genuinely love talking to you. So it all kicks off with this one idea that feels, well, a little backward at first. We're always told to be the main character, right? To be interesting, to have the best stories. But what if the real secret to being a great conversationalist is actually stepping out of the spotlight? I mean, we've all been there, haven't we? That cringy feeling when you get home and you realize, oh man, I think I just rambled for 20 minutes straight. Or you see the other person's eyes start to glaze over. It's a totally universal fear, and it really just comes from a basic misunderstanding of what people are looking for in a good chat. This is pretty much our default setting. We think, to be engaging, we have to share our biggest wins, our funniest stories, our most brilliant thoughts. We're trying to prove that we're interesting. But a lot of the time, this does the exact opposite. The other person just becomes a passive audience, and their brain, well, it just kind of checks out. And this is where the paradox comes in. To be seen as more interesting, more charismatic, more likable, you actually need to talk less. I know, it sounds completely wrong, but the science behind it is just fascinating. So let's get right into the heart of it. This is a super simple framework that you can literally use in the very next conversation you have. It's called the 70-30 rule. That's it. Simple, easy to remember, and honestly, a total game changer. Okay, so the goal is really straightforward. In any one-on-one conversation, you want to aim for the other person to be speaking for about 70% of the time, and you're only contributing about 30%. You're not the star of the show. Think of yourself as the director, guiding them to tell their story. Now, when you hit this conversational sweet spot, something pretty incredible happens. The other person's internal likability gauge for you just skyrockets. They walk away from the conversation feeling amazing, and guess what? They associate that great feeling directly with you. So why does this work so well? It's not just about being polite. This really gets down to biology. Let's look at the science of likability. It all comes down to a neurochemical called oxytocin. You might have heard of it as the love hormone, but a better name is probably the social bonding hormone. When our brain releases this stuff, we feel this powerful sense of trust, connection, and warmth with the person we're with. And the trigger for this is unbelievably simple. The easiest way to get someone's brain to pump out that feel-good oxytocin is just to get them to talk about themselves, their life, their opinions, what they're passionate about. Research shows that sharing about ourselves literally feels rewarding on a chemical level in our brain. You know, this all ties back to that famous piece of wisdom. People will forget the details of what you said, but they will never, ever forget how you made them feel. By helping them release oxytocin, you're not just having a chat, you're creating a positive emotional experience that they'll link directly back to you. Okay, so that's the why, but how do you actually get someone to talk for 70% of the time without it feeling like some kind of interrogation? Let's break down a really practical toolkit. The kind of question you ask is absolutely everything. Most of us, we default to what you could call closed-door questions. What did you do this weekend? It gets you a one-word answer, maybe a short sentence. But an open-door question, like, what was the best part of your weekend? That invites a story, an emotion. It literally opens the door into their world. Okay, and the next tool is the follow-up combo. It's a simple, repeatable loop. Step 1, ask one of those open-door questions. Step 2, listen really carefully for key words or emotions in their answer. Step 3, ask a follow-up question about that specific keyword. So if they say the best part of their weekend was a challenging hike, you don't just nod and move on. You ask, oh, what made the hike so challenging? It proves you're actually listening, not just waiting for your turn to talk. So really, this all comes down to a huge mindset shift. To be perceived as interesting, you have to genuinely be interested. Your job is to make them the hero of the story. Your thoughtful questions are basically the button that releases all that feel-good oxytocin in their brain. All right, now for the final piece of the puzzle, the surprising reward. Because after all this, the biggest payoff is actually for you. And it's probably not what you'd expect. Here's the crazy part, the great paradox. After you've spent an entire conversation asking great questions, listening like a hawk, and making them the star, they are the one who walks away thinking, wow, that person is such a great conversationalist, or I really connected with them. They give you all the credit. And why does that happen? because you accomplished the true goal of any great conversation. You didn't just trade facts, you made them feel seen. You made them feel heard, understood, and maybe most importantly, you made them feel interesting. And that feeling is the best gift you can give someone in a conversation. So you see, the 70-30 rule isn't a trick or a tactic. It's a shift toward having more generous, more connected, and way more memorable conversations for everybody involved. So the only question left is, who are you going to make the hero of your next conversation?